My name is Peter Magondo. Today we are going to talk about transfer services. There are mainly two types of transfers. One of the transfer type is the own account transfer, and the other type of transfer is the private transfers. An own account transfer is where a client would want to transfer their shares from one CDE or one custodian to another. The client might want to transfer their shares to a broker or a custodian where they receive more services or better services, or where maybe the broker and the custodian could be nearer to them. When you want to process an account transfer, the client will need to have the CDSC form, which they will be given by the CDE or the custodian where they hold the shares. The broker where the client holds the shares, or the broker A, will process the own account transfer form for the client, and then the client will take the own account transfer form to broker B, who will then initiate the transfer in the CDSC system, and they will forward the forms to CDSC for processing. There's usually a transfer fee of Kenya shillings 200, which is payable to CDSC to enable processing of this own account transfer form. It takes 24 to 48 hours for CDSC to process the transfer in the CDS system. The second type of transfer that we're going to talk about are private transfers, and we're going to talk about mainly two types of private transfers. One type of private transfer is transfer in form of a gift, and the other transfer is where they're transferring shares from a deceased person to the beneficiaries. When you talk about private transfers, this is where a parent or a shareholder would want to give to their shares to the beneficiaries. Gift transfers are normally done between close relatives. A parent might want to give their shares to their children, and for one to be able to do a gift transfer or to give the shares to their relative, they will need to process a CDS transfer form, which we call a CDS7 form. They also need to do an affidavit, whereby they do an affidavit confirming that they want to transfer or to gift the shares to the beneficiaries or to their close relative. So for us to be able to process the private transfer, the account holder will need to go to their broker or the CDA where their shares are held, together with the supporting documents, which is the affidavit that they have drawn, the CDS7 form, and the copies of ID of the account holder and the beneficiary. The account holder will also need to confirm the relationship between them and the beneficiary. If it's a parent and they are gifting their child or their children the shares, they will need to attach a birth certificate which confirms the relationship between the transferor and the transferee. The broker will forward it to us the transfer processing forms, and the CDSC will process the transfer once we receive the forms. Usually in a gift transfer, the transfer fee normally depends on the value of the transfer. Your broker or your custodian will advise you on the amount of fee that you are supposed to pay for the transfer once you take the transfer forms to them. The second type of private transfer that CDSC processes is where a client will want to transfer their shares from the estate of a deceased person to the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries will need to have acquired the necessary transfer documents or supporting documents to enable CDSC process this kind of transfer. These supporting documents are where the beneficiaries will have gotten the transfer documents or the supporting documents either through the court, the public trustee, or the DCC. CDSC normally processes transfer through the court where the value of the shares is above 3 million. So if a beneficiary has shares from a deceased person where the deceased person's shares were more than 3 million, the beneficiary will need to go to the court and acquire the grant and the letter of administration tested, whereby the grant confirms or advises the beneficiary of the estate of the deceased person. Where the value of a deceased person is not more than 3 million, the beneficiaries can process the transfer documents to the public trustee. From the public trustee, the beneficiary will obtain the probate and administration document or probate and administration letter and the letter of indemnity. The probate and administration letter will show the beneficiary of the estate of the deceased, and the indemnity letter will identify CDSC or the person who will be transferring or processing these documents while they are doing this type of transfer. Where the value of a deceased person is less than 100,000, a beneficiary or the beneficiary can go to the DCC, whereby they acquire the probate and administration letter and indemnity. This will confirm the beneficiary of the estate of the deceased. When they acquire the transfer documents or these confirmation documents, the beneficiary will need to go to the CDA or the broker where the deceased shares were held. The broker will initiate the transfer in a CDS system, and if the beneficiary has an account with another broker, they will need to take the transfer documents, which is the CDS7 form, together with supporting documents where they got from the public trustee, the court, or the DCC. They'll take to the broker where they are transferring the shares to. Usually there's a shares processing fee or transfer processing fee of $675, which is payable to CDSC. CDSC normally processes these transfers within 24 to 48 hours. If you know that a deceased person has shares, or maybe you come across a dividend deposit slip on a CDS statement, kindly contact CDSC and you'll be assisted on how to go about the process of transferring the shares to yourself if you are a beneficiary. You can also contact the stockbroker of the deceased person, and you'll be advised on how to go about transferring the shares from the deceased person to the beneficiary.